non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Yeah, I think it's strategic to, melatonin. When we get on the plane, sleep as much as we can on the plane. Use blue light as well when we get there to be up and kind of, get your body acclimated, and then we'll do some activation stuff with our strength coach when we get there. So there's all kinds of pieces that we're using to be ready to go, and I'm kind of looking forward to tackling it.
Blue light and activation.
Football.
Getting off the plane in London. That's
Come on.
Don't want to sleep too much.
about as football as it gets. Well, don't you want to sleep the whole flight? Isn't that kind of what they're?
Yes. And then once you're done with that, though, you want to hit the ground running.
So what is their flight
The Saints
schedule?
have been there.
They're flying out. We're recording
7 o'clock.
this Thursday.
Yeah, they fly out they leave 7 o'clock our time Thursday night. They get in at like 2 a.m. our time, which is, I think, 8 a.m. there. They go rest for a little bit, and then they go practice pretty quickly.
So their only sleep that night is on the plane, right?
Yes, basically you are correct. And the Saints went, I think, on Tuesday. So the Saints basically went to acclimate. The Vikings are going to try and game the system of acclimation by going late. It's an interesting juxtaposition. I don't know if one works better than the
And
other.
you might think, well, why wouldn't you just fly there during the day so you can just sleep in a bed at night? Well, then you waste a day of meetings and film and practice and stuff, right?
And plus, they ain't flying coach. So, like, they're flying on planes that I think fully reclined seats and stuff. So, or beds.
That's nice.
And they give you 2 bags of pretzels and 2 of
Yeah,
those
right.
little
Actually, they can't
Bischoff
now.
cookies
No,
or whatever.
Delta's
those are.
out on that. They can't afford the pretzels anymore.
Actually, you
Just
know
one
what?
cookie.
You can ask for 2. I have found. You can. They
Cookies.
give you a
Yeah, you
cookie.
can.
You can say, "Hey,
The Delta
can I
cookies.
get a second cookie?"
The Delta
I don't-
cookies are top. Oh,
Dude,
don't tell me
they're
you don't like the
So
cookies.
good, dude.
You don't like
I
them?
don't, no, I don't like them.
What is
They're
wrong with you,
crumbly.
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
what
of
makes
things.
a cookie.
I'm not
They're
a fan.
Fantastic.
They're okay.
That's what
I'll
makes a
bring out. I'll
cookie.
bring out my own snack. Well, I'm fine.
Oh my God, are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
This is one of your worst takes of all time here, Declan. That you don't like the
all
Delta
right.
cookies.
Well, then I'm
feel
doing
like Mad
pretty
Dog.
pretty
The
if this is my
cookies!
worst
The
take.
cookie.
Yeah. The cookies.
Anyhow, this is Daily Vikings entertainment here on Purple Daily. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die, and the show is presented in part by our friends at TCL, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. TCL.com. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. And mark your calendars, folks. October 16th, Sunday, October 16th, noon kickoff. And Sunday, November 6th, noon kickoff. Surly Purple Daily watch parties at the Surly Brew House. Mark them on your calendars.
Yes, come one, come all, too. So make your plans now. These two jokers laughed, but for the draft, I said it, I will say it again. There's a hotel right across the road. So if you want to come in and, drink some Surly's and spend time talking Vikings, watching Ventline, which will be great fun. That is the day to do it. Plenty of great beers on tap. Some that you've seen before, some that you have not, including, of course, Before I Die. And we're also trying to get cans of Before I Die there. So perhaps you enjoy a couple of those and take them home to have that beautiful can. Surly Brewing, Score North, we are here for you as your Vikings therapists, and also in this case, Vikings party planners. So make your plans.
All right, it is Thursday, which means we do a deep dive into the Vikings offense. It is State of the Vikings Offense Thursday here, where I present to you guys 4 different, sometimes it's 3, sometimes 5, mostly it's 4 different categories of offensive topics, basically, and we do a little dive into them. So let's start with just a broad overall picture of the offense here. Category number 1 is literally just the broadest view of the Vikings offense you can find. It is yards per play and points per game. So the Vikings offense right now is tied for 12th in yards per play, and they are tied for 16th in points per game. Only 3 games, everyone kind of looks clunky offensively except for maybe the Dolphins. And, there's a lot still to be played out here. But what are your thoughts on just in general, out of the gate here, almost a month into the season, the Vikings are still on the outside of the top 10. They're still kind of right where they've been with the Kubiak system and Zimmer, 12th in yards per play, 16th in points per game.
Not good enough, but patience. Like it's 3 games, and the first one was impressive out of the gate. The last 2 quarters of the Packers game, not as impressive. The Philadelphia game was, I think, just a flat out bust. The Detroit game, nice comeback, but you didn't play well. Mm-hmm. So, but look, last year, in my opinion, that team had enough time in the Kubiak, whether it be Gary or Clint, offense to be firing on all cylinders much quicker. This doesn't. I think it's going to be hard to pass a hard judgment at all until about 7 or 8 games in. Like a definitive, you better get your act together and get going judgment. So it's certainly not where we want to see a team that I think the 3 of us all agree should be a top 10 scoring offense. That being said, what is it now? 21 quarters in. I don't think it's time to panic about that either.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Dex? What's your thought on where they kind of sit outside the top 10?
Yeah, it's a little bit of patience too on it. You've seen Justin Jefferson get locked up the last 2 weeks, which has been, I guess, a little surprising. And now you're seeing the offense get funneled around to KJ Osborne, Adam Thielen, and the flip side of JJ being locked up is KJ Osborne doesn't score that touchdown if you're not having all that focused attention on Justin Jefferson. So you will possibly be without Dalvin Cook in London, and he finally seemed like he was getting into a groove last week against the Lions. So far, definitely a little lackluster, but I wouldn't be sounding the alarm and pounding the table that this is unacceptable. I do think patience is a little bit on their side, but probably after the bye week and as we get closer into mid-November, if this offense is still 16th to 13th, then it's okay, what's going on here? Why isn't it clicking?
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in it. I thought based on the first half against the Packers, I thought, oh, okay, this is what it should feel like. And they haven't been able to recapture the first half against the Packers yet. It was a fire drill just to come back against the Lions in the second half of that game, and they made it happen. But it's not clicking as much as I thought it would, but I'll trust what Alex Boone told me on Trenches a couple weeks ago, that give it 4 or 5 weeks. Now we're into week 4. But give it 4 or 5 weeks. Then at some point, and these are 2 great opportunities to get the offense to click.
Yep.
Kind of a random London game where maybe the Saints aren't operating at full strength with some injuries too. And then a Bears game also at home. So get it going. By the way, the top offenses in the league. So the Vikings are 5.5 yards per play, tied with Jacksonville, just behind the Packers at 5.7 and the Raiders. The top offenses are the Ravens at 7 yards per play, the Eagles and the Dolphins both at 6.5 yards per play, and the Bills and the Chiefs sitting at 6.2 yards per play. So those are your best offenses right now.
And I think that this is also probably the most important thing is this. It's very clear that Kevin O'Connell is getting comfortable and trying to get comfortable. In week 2, he essentially forgot about the run game. And I don't care if it's Cook, Madison, Wongwu, which can't happen. Parisi over to Suter, back to Parisi, back to Spurgeon. So in week 2, that was also coaching and play calling, which I've always contended is very difficult.
Yeah.
So we need to see Kevin O'Connell, I think, get in a groove calling plays first, and then it trickles down from there. But when Dalvin Cook had 6 carries in week 2, that ain't gonna cut it. That is as much on coaching as it is on anything else, or more so, I think.
All right, category number 2 here is pass protection, offensive line pass protection. This is one of the big, you want to talk about for the Cousins Crusaders out there, right? One of the big excuses for lack of team success or reasons. It's been a valid reason, but it's also just what's he supposed to do? The offensive line, right?
Correct.
So couple interesting things here. As a unit, so as a team, let's start with PFF. They've got the Vikings graded 15th in pass protection. Overall grade, 15th in pass protection, which isn't amazing, but it's actually their highest ranking since 2013 when they finished the season 6th.
Yep.
So it's been just not a very well-graded unit according to PFF. ESPN has a measurement called team pass block win rate, which is basically did the offensive line hold off defenders for at least 2.5 seconds? Because that's what you, as a quarterback, you get about 2.5 seconds. If the ball's not out, now you're kind of on your own. You got to make something happen with maybe some people chasing you. The Vikings offensive line ranks 3rd in team pass block win rate through the first 3 weeks. They are winning as a unit 70% of dropbacks. That's right. Wave the Vikings flag.
Take that, everybody. Saints, Bears, Lions, Packers, not the Eagles.
The long national nightmare is over. I wouldn't go that far. It's been 3 games, so we need to see some things here still.
You know what? It's not bad though.
But they're doing. But this is a great illustration of if it's so hard without watching all the other games sometimes to understand that you can watch a Vikings game and think, oh my God, Kirk, look at the offensive line on this play, that play. Well, yeah, like on about 30% of plays of pass plays, the quarterback's going to get pressured. That's life in the NFL. So now individual performers, I will say the summary of this is that the Vikings have 2 franchise offensive tackles. Those are the 2 hardest things to get on the offensive line are those 2 guys.
Yes.
Brian O'Neill is currently number 1 among all offensive tackles in ESPN's individual pass block win rate. He is winning 97% of hand fights. He's really, really good at football.
Yep.
Christian Darrisaw, according to Pro Football Focus, is the 9th highest graded pass protector among all tackles. Even a higher grade. Some of these are like PFF is a little more subjective. I don't know how ESPN's figuring some of this, but these guys are both highly regarded. With Brian O'Neill probably being a little bit better, but Darrisaw on the rise. Ezra Cleveland, right around league average pass protection, which that's a huge win. You will take that. Ed Ingram struggling a bit. Garrett Bradbury is 6th overall among centers, largely because of run blocking. He's 24th among centers in pass protection grade, which is actually way better than most years for him.
Correct.
So
he's not a train wreck. He is not a train wreck.
Yeah.
That's
Ed Ingram has probably been their worst offensive lineman so far. They've got 2 outstanding tackles. The middle is a little murky, but overall as a unit, they've been holding up pretty well through the first 3 games.
And if I had told you this in training camp, if I had told you 3 games in, this is going to be the exact scenario, you would say, I'll take it. Because you can afford 1 weak link. Everyone has one. Like how many teams have, oh my God, they got 5 guys and they're all great. You simply probably don't. But Bradbury and Cleveland holding their own is enormous. And then, Phil, to your point, the 2 tackles are outstanding, which is huge. So, like, this is what you wanted. Because, you know what? It would be great if all 5 guys were grading out super high and they're fantastic. That's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
But Kirk Cousins and this line is giving him enough time. And you know what? For the most part, he looks pretty comfortable. Like, he's made some plays too. So, like, this is how it's supposed to work. And what I really like too is it does remove all of the excuses. So, like, now we don't have these debates about, well, Kirk didn't have time or blah, blah, blah. And I mean, until now, Garrett Bradbury has been in pass protection a liability. There's no question about it. Ingram might be struggling a bit, and he's young, but the offensive line now, interior wise, is not costing you, and that's an enormous step for this team.
Yep. That's actually a really good segue into the 3rd category here, which is aggressiveness down the field in the passing game. So, we mentioned earlier in the week that Kirk Cousins himself ranks through 3 games 20th in QBR, 22nd in passer rating, 22nd in completion percentage, 28th in yards per attempt, 27th in air yards per throw, 25th in expected points added overall. And they've been a terrible third down team. We'll get to, there's a third down thing coming to here, but let's just focus on getting the ball down the field. Now, I think sometimes it's overrated or overstated, like you got to throw the ball down the field or you can't have success in the passing game. Well, I think intermediate is where most success in the passing game lives, but you got to have some shots down the field to stretch it as well. There's also a lot of great quarterbacks that make their living with short crossing routes or finding a timely check down here and there. So I don't think it should all be about down the field, but there's some interesting stuff in here. Mm-hmm. Kirk Cousins currently ranks 31st in the NFL in average air yards per throw. All right. 6.4 air yards per throw, meaning how far the ball travels in the air on average from the line of scrimmage. 6.5 for Kirk. The top of the list is around like 10 to 11 air yards. Lamar Jackson's like closer to 12. They like to throw the ball down the field. And I'm always kind of like, oh, well, maybe that's part of the scheme. Maybe they're just not asking him to throw the ball down the field. Maybe it's just some like shorter routes and whatnot. Well, Matthew Stafford last season with the Rams was among the league leaders in average depth of throw. He was averaging 9 yards in the air to Kirk's 6.5 this year. Similar system. Maybe Stafford was just either more willing to take chances or maybe they were scheming guys open better with Sean McVay at the helm. I don't know. The Vikings have only attempted 8 passes of 20 yards or more in the air, which is 25th in the league.
Yep.
Matthew Stafford last season, by contrast, had the 3rd most deep attempts in the NFL. So this is a lot of weeds here, but what I'm saying is I think based on what we saw with the Rams and Stafford, this scheme likes to drive the ball down the field. It's not doing that so far in the first 3 games very much. That's the main takeaway here.
And this is a combination, in my opinion, of KOC and Kirk. And this is where I think Jefferson comes in here. So the crossing routes to Jefferson are great. They're fine. And if he catches the ball, which he didn't do a great job of on Sunday, unfortunately for him, that certainly has some potential for lots and lots of yak. And we all love yak. But the reality is Justin Jefferson is a deep threat too. And that's where you create situations and confusion. In fact, I will give you the perfect play. A play the Vikings should strive to be replicating is the 53-yard touchdown pass that the Eagles had against the Vikings in week 2.
Yeah.
Right? Because what does that play do? That play has the very good possibility to introduce confusion. And if you introduce confusion, and now Jefferson is singled up, and before we say, well, Kirk's a different QB, blah, blah, blah. No, Kirk can make that throw. Kirk can make that throw. Now, does Kirk like to? I have no clue. At times, I don't think he does. But he has made it before. He's got the arm talent. So I do think that is where the partnership of KOC and Kirk needs to evolve, hopefully quickly. Because I don't look at the Vikings receivers and see, oh, man, no, it's all got to be short stuff. I look at Jefferson and in particular also KJ Osborne, and I see potential deep threats. That is where I am very curious in the coming weeks to see what I expect to be and what should be the evolution of the relationship between the coach and the quarterback.
Yep. So interesting here. I mean, this kind of, dude, I'm not putting it all on Kirk because I think Kevin O'Connell has stepped up and said, yeah, there's some things I need to do a better job of, play calling, preparation, but one of the things that I was the most curious about is, hey, this system calls for some aggressiveness that might not be there with Kirk so far. Mm-hmm. Or like Kirk comes from this place of just not wanting to make a mistake. And so you could even see it when he's going through his progression sometimes. Like he'll think about something, but it's not quite there. And then you look at the all 22, it's like, oh man, you had something 18, 20 yards down the field or 30 yards down the field, and it was just a little too risky. And I'm wondering, does Kevin O'Connell want him? Are they still having a little bit of conflict there, which they both talked about during the offseason workouts of, hey, the scheme is telling you need to throw it down there. Yeah. And Kirk is saying, yeah, but it's kind of a 50-50, and I'd rather live to fight another day or find a more conservative check down. So, well, I guess we just keep watching and see what happens here. But the Vikings are not driving the ball down the field in the passing game like the Rams do.
And you must
like
at some point. Mm-hmm. They must.
And then this is the third straight week where third down has been one of the topics because the Vikings have not been good on third down offensively. So this is category 4, which is back to third down. The Vikings rank 28th in the NFL in third down success rate when they throw the ball. They've actually, on like the third and shorts, when they run the ball, they've actually been one of the best teams in the NFL at converting third down via the run.
Okay.
Converting third down via the pass, one of the worst teams in the NFL through 3 weeks.
Okay.
The top third down passing teams include the Bills, the Bengals, the Rams, the Dolphins, and somewhat shockingly, the Broncos, which is basically a mess offensively until Russell Wilson saves them.
Right.
And he hasn't done a whole lot of that either. But, I look at that, and again, it's early, but this would align with, I think, last year full season. The Bills are great on third down because Josh Allen is ridiculous. The Bengals are great on third down because Joe Burrow is ridiculous.
Yep.
The Rams because of scheme, and Stafford has largely been a great third down quarterback in his career. So,
right.
Yeah.
Do we know what the Vikings' average yards to go is on those third down pass plays?
Dude, I spent 2 hours trying to find that again last night. So
Because that's sort of the question.
let me peel back the curtain here. So,
In 2 hours?
Sharp, is it Warren Sharp? I think it's Warren Sharp.
Yep.
Football analytics guy.
Yeah.
And he has an amazing website with all sorts of like down and distance details called Sharp Football Stats. And he has Sharp Football Analysis for like gamblers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't updated that website for 2022 yet. So I even did like a Twitter search of like, are people talking about this? Like a lot of people rely on this data. No, he's tweeting and stuff.
Yeah, he's alive.
Okay,
Chuck.
so
But
he is alive. Okay,
he
good.
has not updated some of that
Welfare
data.
check.
So I don't know what the deal is. If hey, if you want to put it behind a paywall, there's a lot of us nerds that would love to make it happen. But that was the place to find that information.
Okay.
And it hasn't been updated yet so far this year. So
Because if
Wish
it's
I could tell you.
third and like 5 or 6, that is obviously a big difference than if you're passing on like third and 9 or something like that. Like it doesn't feel just off the top of my head like they've been in a lot of third and terrible situations. Mm-hmm. But that's just just an observation from me.
yeah,
So,
well, they're one of the least penalized teams, I believe, so far too. So
they are.
that math really contributed to their long third and I think it was like 3rd and 8 on average or something last year, and penalties really compounded that problem.
I believe the stat I saw on Twitter yesterday was through 3 games, no holding calls.
And maybe 1 or 2 false starts.
Yeah. But I mean, no holding calls on your O-line.
That's kind of incredible. And that was a Rams theme last year. The Rams had the fewest holding and false start penalties in the entire league last year.
Look at
They
us.
just, I don't know
at
if
us
it's like
being
a coaching
positive.
thing. So there it is. Again, I should put this disclaimer out every week that we dive in the weeds on these Thursday episodes. So if this ever gets too in the weeds, please let us know in the YouTube comment section that, all right, guys, pull it back. But I think it's fun to just kind of pull back the hood of the Vikings offense here.
Throw the lead.
So before we get into other stuff here on the show, just any final thoughts from those 4 categories? Third downs, ball down the field, etc.
Ball down the field really intrigues me to what they're going to do, and I think they're going to work hard to do this to get Jefferson more opportunities. Mm-hmm. Because I mean they O'Connell came out more than once and essentially said that Justin Jefferson is our Cooper Kupp, and it hasn't worked out that way so far. But that doesn't mean that you punt there. You continue to go back and try and find ways. But I've got to think that there are some shots that you can take down the field, which they really have, to your point from before, Phil, not done yet, to incorporate him more. And I think if you could get him isolated on a corner and throw a pass that's, risky, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of situations potentially that he can win the battle. So, that's the one that I am starting Sunday. I am really curious to see, because so far, Jefferson, O'Connell, Kirk, everyone has said the exact right thing, but there is no way privately you're like, oh, this is great, this is fine. you got to find a way to incorporate him more, and it can't just be, to your point from the show yesterday, well, he's covered, he's bracketed, so that's it. That's not how they're going to think.
Yep.
The pass blocking win rate has been really good for them, and the line looks better. But then there's still like moments, and I don't know if this is just, hey, you're going to get good protection. Sometimes you're going to get bad protection. But it seemed like in the Lions game that there was still a lot of like happy feet Kirk moments where he's like he's ready for the pressure, but the pressure isn't there yet. Like he can sense that it's coming, and then there was just some weird misthrows, and he seemed more inaccurate than usual. Like as much as there's criticism of Kirk, like when he wants to be, he's a very accurate passer. But there was moments during that Lions game where it just felt like he got really trigger happy quick, and with his happy feet made poor decisions.
The throw down the field on the left side, I believe it was earlier in the game to Osborne, and he said post game, I thought I didn't throw it far enough, and it actually sailed on KJ. That was sort of weird because that was a very un-Kirk throw. And then, of course, on the eventual winning touchdown with 45 seconds left, he made a marvelous throw. So that was weird. And I don't know if he's seeing ghosts or what.
Really good observation by Declan, because good eye test. Because Kirk Cousins currently ranks in adjusted throwing percentage. Okay, that's right, adjusted throwing percentage, which takes drops out of the equation. Basically, the way it is defined on Pro Football Focus is it's the percentage of aimed passes thrown on target. So did you do your job throwing the ball on target as graded by PFF? And traditionally, he is, I think, usually among the top, like 5 or 10. He's just a very accurate thrower. He's 20th so far this year in that category. Tom Brady's 21st, tied with Jameis Winston. Russell Wilson's down there. So small sample size, but he has not been as accurate as in previous years.
You know what? I got a thought about that. There's a chance, and this is a total guess here, okay? But Brady being that low, I think might be a product, without having watched a ton of Bucs games, of the fact
being 90 years old,
that his receivers are out, and so he's throwing to guys that probably don't run precise routes because they don't know them. And I wonder if the Vikings are having some problems with that too, not because the receivers are being changed, but more so because everybody's new to the system. I'd be curious to know on that stat exactly. I'd be curious to know how many of the missed throws are to Thielen, because he's the guy that runs, I think, just exacting routes. Jefferson and Osborne might. I mean, there might be a bit of a disconnect so far between Kirk and those two at times.
So I just while you were talking there, just dug this up. This adjusted completion percentage, which you might as well call it accuracy, your accuracy percentage.
Sure.
The last 3 years, he has been ranked in the top 5 at the end of the season in accuracy percentage. Did you do your job and put the ball where it's supposed to be? And this year he's 20th. So it could be scheme, just getting used to new routes, new depths, etc. I think Declan's right about the happy feet. It just kind of he's got PTSD from years of just bad offensive lines.
That's not good. That's not good though, man.
So
they're doing a good job.
I'm watching.
Very
nice
interesting.
job, Dex.
Thank you.
Good stuff there, guys. What a breakdown and stuff. If you're looking to lose some weight, especially with the holidays kind of coming up in like a month and a half or whatever, Judd's got the formula for you.
That is right, and that comes from a very, very simple place of how do you drop 40 pounds like Judd, and most importantly, keep the weight off. And I'm going to tell you how. It is through my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. And right now, if you join, you'll receive 8 weeks for free. So 8 weeks. Imagine how much weight can come off and all the clothes that could start to fit in 8 weeks, and that's free. Now with the new Flex program, that lets you enjoy the foods that you love, fruit, pasta, and even bread. As I said before, I'm down 40 pounds. Dawn is down 16 plus pounds. And now I want you to join the Zolgads on a weight loss journey that is gratifying and also helps you keep the weight off 855-GO-LIVEA, livea.com, livea.com is the first step towards a better you.
We will get to a really interesting concept that was brought back up about some of the Vikings' late half strategy here in a second. But a big thank you to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company for their continued support of Purple Daily and Mackie and Judd and everything we're doing at Score North. And they take very, very great pride in helping businesses for over 100 years. They measure their company's success by the success of their partners and the businesses that they work with. So they're all about protecting, like a great offensive line, against risks that could potentially ding your company. So it's like having a great guiding hand helping you to maximize your business. Federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. And real quick, let's also tell the audience about our friends at Finch Home Solutions here. Judd?
Yes, my friend Cody, who does a great job, a huge PD fan, a huge Purple fan, and guess what? Also a huge fan of being your home solutions. What do I mean by that? I'm going to tell you right now. There's a lot of things that Judd can't do. And one of them, home electrical repairs. I won't even touch that stuff. You know why? Because I don't want to burn my house down.
Hey, Stella.
Cody Finch has the answers, and they can take care of everything from faulty outlets to flickering lights to installing or repairing electrical panels. No job is too big or small. And right now, Cody and his company, Finch Home Solutions, offering a free home safety inspection to all Purple Daily fans. 612-357-2604, 612-357-2604, or finchhomesolutions.com. finchhomesolutions.com to get the fixes that you need around your house safely.
Let's go, baby. Let's do it, baby. All right, let's go get it.
All right. The middle eight concept. So this is under the umbrella of what are people saying about the Vikings. And our friend and your former colleague at the Star Tribune, he's now over at ESPN.com for the last 10 years. He's back on the Vikings beat. Kevin Seifert, in his play calling article yesterday, which is really good, he referenced the middle eight concept. And I was like, Kevin talked about that early a few times. So I did some digging on this. And the middle eight concept is a concept coined by Bill Belichick in New England. And Kevin O'Connell picked this up in 2008 when he was one of the backups to Tom Brady. The middle eight concept stresses the importance of dominating the final 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. This is part of the reason why the Vikings want the ball to begin the second half. And it's a huge part of the reason why they were a train wreck last year, because in these situations, they just didn't. They were the worst team in the league at this last year. So earlier this month, Ben Gessling from the Star Tribune wrote something interesting. He said, O'Connell wants to stress the final 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half for the impact they can have on an opponent's psyche if the defense gives up points in quick succession or if the offense is out of sync for nearly an hour of real time. So basically what you're saying is, if we can have the ball final 4 minutes as an offense, grind them down and score or kick a field goal and make their defense question themselves going into the locker room. And then if we get the ball back at the beginning of the second half and go down and score again, number one, it helps the scoreboard. Number two, it keeps their offense off the field for like 45 minutes or an hour of real time, meaning they're going to get out of sync and out of whack, and their defense loses confidence in the middle chunk of the game. Last season, according to the Star Tribune, the Vikings had a net deficit in the middle eight of 7 touchdowns and a field goal. The middle eight, the most important time of the game, according to Bill Belichick, and the Vikings were minus 7 touchdowns and a field goal last year.
Disorganized, out of sync, awful.
Good Lord.
And then one last thing here from Kevin Seifert. Mm-hmm. It's a small sample size, but the Vikings offense has been one of the NFL's most aggressive in the final 2 minutes of the first half. A small but not insignificant reason they have started 2-1. They have scored 2 touchdowns in those moments, tied for the most in the league, and they've run the NFL's 4th most offensive plays in those final 2 minutes, along with accumulating the league's second most yards in the final 2 minutes. On their final possession of the first half, the Vikings have run a total of 11 plays. All of those 11 plays have been passes. Think about how many times in the final 2-3 minutes of the first half
wrong.
where Zimmer will test out a run.
You got to run the ball.
Let's test out a run and see what happens. Well, guess what? Nothing's going to happen.
Right.
You gain 4 yards and the clock is running and everything.
Right.
And Kevin O'Connell has thrown exclusively passes in the final 2 minutes of the first half.
Yep.
That is a modern vehicle that the Vikings are driving. Strategically sound. I love it. This is great process for the Vikings offense.
And this is why I have faith that the offensive play calling issues are going to get solved. Like, he knows what he's doing. Like, he's not just, oh my God, he's overmatched. No, he can't do it. It's 3 games in, and there are certainly some hiccups that need to be fixed, but it's those stats that give me hope and confidence that they're going to get things right. Mm-hmm. Because that's impressive. Like, that's no fluke. That's not a well, last year you were unlucky, and in 2022 you've been lucky. No, that is you are asserting what you think will work, and it's working. So this is why on the offensive things that aren't going right yet, I am patient, because I think he knows exactly what he wants to accomplish and do. And that doesn't mean it's going to be smooth immediately, and it hasn't been. But those stats that you just read are incredibly impressive, and they win and lose games.
Mm-hmm. So, there was actually, I think it was the Action Network had a study about this 2 years ago, in which they took 1 week's worth of games, just like a random, like week 5 or week 14 or something. And they looked at, so how many games? I think it was a full slate. So I think it was like before bye week. So there literally would have been 16 games being played. And the team that came out ahead in the middle 8. So if you just take the middle 8, the scores in the middle 8. So like 7, you were ahead 7-3 in the middle 8 or something. The teams that won the middle 8 were like 14-2 that week. Just some ridiculous number, highlighting the importance of it.
Yeah, it's small wins. Exactly right.
So, yeah. And then I was just trying, how long is halftime? 15 minutes, or is it 12 or 15
I think it's 12 in the NFL. It's 24. It's like 20 in college, right? It's ridiculously long in college. But yeah, I think it's 12 in the NFL.
So 12 minutes, just in terms of the idea of keeping an opposing offense off the field for X amount of real minutes, just to get them out of sync and stuff.
Yes.
So 12 minutes of halftime. I'm just going to do like even like running clock, 2 minutes commercial break, 2-minute warning. That's 14. Another, and then another. So that's 14 minutes, and then another 8 minutes of, at least 8 minutes, because it's, even if it's running clocks, that's 22 minutes. Plus, it really takes like 3 or 4 times as long to play the 4 minutes of the first and last 4 minutes of the first half. So you're probably talking about minimum 30 minutes of real time if things are snappy and there's not timeouts being called and stuff, that you would keep an opposing offense off the field. That's why the Vikings like to receive the kick in the second half.
So to your entire point here, on Sunday, end of the first half, okay? The Vikings get the ball, 31 seconds left at their own 8. Now, previously, they would have run the clock out. They would have run a couple plays, they would have run it down, and that would be it. They moved to the Lions 44. Now, that's the game where Bradbury got the ball punched out. But the fact is, O'Connell was so mad because he wanted the points off that. He wanted the field goal attempt. He wanted the shot. That's one thing that Zim wouldn't have really cared. Like, he would have been pissed, but he wouldn't have really cared. O'Connell legitimately was mad. Now, the one thing that I will say, and we didn't discuss it, that was screwed up there, and this is what O'Connell has to teach his guys, because I love what they're doing. KJ Osborne screwed up. KJ Osborne caught the last pass, and if you recall, ran the ball back and handed it to Bradbury.
Yeah, you hand it to the official.
Yeah, it's got to go.
This is the Cowboys' mistake from the playoffs last year, right?
Yes, but I mean, Bradbury then got the ball punched out, and O'Connell was mad. O'Connell should have been mad at Osborne. That ball has to be handed to the official.
Hand it to an official, carry the official to the spot. Let them
Basically,
set it down.
That's what Fitzy did, man. Fitzy literally bolted and carried, and that's what you have to do. But your thought about process is exactly right. The process of what he is doing here is spot on, and it's the difference, I think, between probably at least a win and a loss per season, if not more than that, maybe.
Yeah, I just love the thought that's being put into this. It's not willy nilly. It's not. I mean, there is a ton of thought and strategy being put into these crucial moments of a game, and maybe it hasn't quite manifested. Although I guess it kind of has, because they've actually scored some points, a couple touchdowns, which is tied for the NFL lead.
I love it
in those situations. But exclusively passing the football is also something that I find, dude, throttle down.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna run the ball and see what happens. Screw you.
It stops the clock too. Worst case, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, worst case is a pick. But if you throw a ball to Osborne, Thielen, blah, 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 and it falls and it's incomplete, it stops the clock.
And then if you want to run the ball
so
because,
fine.
they're getting pressure on us or something, you can. But yeah.
Yep.
So anyhow.
Look at this positivity.
This is in the weeds positivity here.
There's a lot to like. Like, there are some concerns, but there's a lot to like about how it's trending.
Yeah, you can just tell. Who knows if Kevin O'Connell's going to wind up being Hall of Fame head coach someday? But you can tell there's a lot of just nuanced thought going into what they're doing here. All right, it is time for the Random Viking of the Week on Purple Daily, where Declan and I alternate going back and forth against the king of this segment, Judd Zulgad. Who
last time I played you, got ugly.
Well,
I gave it away.
Maybe you should stop thinking out loud.
That's a
I
very
told you guys
key.
I had gotten into the Surleys the night before. I wasn't thinking clearly. I thought out loud. Last night, nothing but.
It's weird because when I'm drinking, I do think out loud, and I'd make mistakes out loud that end up hurting me. So that's weird that happens to you when you've been drinking the day after.
Yeah, I was hungover.
Yeah.
Now I'm not.
Old Macadac had a couple extra Pinot Noirs last night than he planned to, so his syntax isn't quite.
How do you do the wine? How do you do the wine?
Can't do it.
I can't do the wine.
My body reacts better to it too. I don't get as like hungover, and my digestive system enjoys it more than some others.
Your poor digestive system is just a mess.
I did a liver cleanse a couple weeks ago, and it's you know what? Let's just say that old Macadac and Maya Mackey are experiencing some great digestive and gut health.
A liver cleanse
these days.
So you say, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so I do a liver cleanse. She just eats Nutrisource chicken and rice food, which she loves. Keeps her regular, and she's also just very excited for the taste of Nutrisource, the official dog food, Judd, of Mackey and Judd and Purple Daily.
Yep, that's because it's not only the official dog food of Maya Mackey, but also Stella Zulgad, who not only loves the food that you are checking out right now, but as you can see, she also loves the treats, the training rewards, the training treats. You know what? When she goes outside and does her business, she knows she is going to come in and get those delicious Nutrisource treats, not tweets, treats, or tweets, yeah. Because she
both, actually, yeah. NutrisourcePetFoods.com to find a retailer near you. NutrisourcePetFoods.com.
Alrighty.
All right, so here's how Random Viking of the Week works. Declan is going to be the captain this time around. He will throw out a series of clues. Judd and myself get up to 3 incorrect guesses, and then we are eliminated. We can ask Declan questions, but he can decide if he wants to answer them or not. Judd has a 35-19 lead all time. But Declan and Phil have back-to-back wins with Ray Edwards and Reese Lloyd. That's right. I knew all along that it was Reese Lloyd. I just wanted to give Judd a chance to think out loud.
Yeah, thanks.
Before that, Judd correctly guessed Kadre Ismail, Brian Russell, and Jerome Simpson. So here we go.
All right. This Random Viking of the Week was undrafted. UDFA. This Random Viking of the Week played in 80 NFL games. I'll give you his Vikings totals. He actually played in 29 games for the Vikings.
Okay.
This Random Viking of the Week turned down an offer from Harvard in college and instead went to Stanford, where he walked on as a punter. But I'll let you know, he was not a special teams kicker, punter, long snapper. That's not what he was. But he walked on as a punter at Stanford.
Did he punt at Stanford? Do we know?
He didn't. He redshirted his first year.
Okay.
Wow, I am totally lost here. I need to regroup.
And changed positions.
Okay.
And changed positions.
Okay.
Stanford.
Mm-hmm. Smart guy. Yeah, he got his undergrad from Stanford, and then after retiring from the NFL,
Yep.
he got his master's from San Diego State in post-secondary educational leadership. This Random Viking of the Week works for NBC San Diego as an analyst, a TV analyst for them.
God dang it. I feel like I should know this already.
NBC San Diego?
Yep.
Okay.
This Random Viking of the Week accumulated 5 touchdowns in his NFL career.
Wow, dude. It's weird because like giving out the Stanford clue is like it should be such a door opener, but Toby Gerhardt's the only Stanford guy I can think of.
This Random Viking of the Week.
Something just fell by me.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm just trying to think.
You okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's fine. Something just fell. Keep going. I'm trying to think.
This Random Viking of the Week was acquired via trade shortly before the season opened. One of the and a player for player trade. No draft pick, a player for player trade.
So he was acquired via trade by the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a UDFA non-Viking though.
Correct.
And he was.
This Random Viking of the Week was responsible for helping the 2007 Dolphins not go winless in 2007.
Okay. Oh my god.
This
I have
Random Viking of the Week
I have it.
caught touchdowns.
No, stop. What's this guy's name? Oh my god.
From
Greg Camarillo.
No!
You got it!
Yes!
Yes!
Greg Camarillo!
Oh, that was great! Oh, that was great!
Greg Camarillo!
He got him back! He got him back!
Yes!
No!
He got him back!
I got it!
That was incredible!
Clean living pays off!
It's funny.
Clean living pays. Hey, Stella, get me a Surly! I'm back!
Oh my god! That was my favorite one ever!
The flag, Greg Camarillo! Traded for Benny Sapp!
Karma!
Benny Sapp sent to the Dolphins for Greg Camarillo!
Karma!
Dang it.
Oh, that's incredible. I was trying to give you enough time, but
I was trying to balance. I was going to say out loud. It's like Greg Carmen something, but I didn't want to say that out loud because
Then I know. Because then I would have stolen it just like you stole it from me.
I was like, it's Greg.
my next clue was
Son of a.
caught touchdowns from Brett Favre, Chad Pennington, and Cleo Lemon.
Ugh.
So yeah, he, according to his Wikipedia, like the first sentence is Camarillo played for the Dolphins, and he's most notably known for his game-winning 64-yard touchdown reception against the Ravens that helped the Dolphins not go winless in 2007. And apparently is the founder and president now of the Athlete Academic Foundation.
All
We
right.
should get him on the show. We should get all these guys on the show.
He's got 4,000 Twitter followers. He actually, I missed this podcast. He has a podcast called Two Pros and a Joe.
Okay. So he's very active.
With Marcus McNeil.
Traded for Benny Sapp straight up in 2010 when Sidney Rice.
I thought Judd was going to get it
surgery.
immediately when I said that. because I was right around.
Congratulations to Judd. He deserved the victory there. Oh. This is
awesome.
I know how you feel now. Where he was like he was right there. You had it. You're about to.
And
say
I would have had
it,
Reese
and-
Lloyd too if I hadn't said it like an idiot.
God dang it! All right. Well, there it is. There's your Thursday episode here of Purple Daily Vikings entertainment.
Good stuff.
Just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die, and we'll see you tomorrow for some feedback. Feedback Friday tomorrow.